agency's shuttles have now come to rest in museums across the United States, the end of this era raises questions about when, not if, humans will follow machines to deep space destinations such as an asteroid or Mars.
There's got to be a balance of manned spaceflight and robotic spaceflight. The robotics can do things that a man can't do. I mean, we can send a vehicle to Mars today, like we are with the Curiosity vehicle landing this summer. So there are some things where it's a one-way flight, or the time to get there, to get to an outer planet, is just too long to send humans today. And you can only do it with robotics. You can only do it with unmanned satellites.
Many of the innovations in future spacecraft will come from the Dryden-centered Edwards Air Force Base in California, because it has a long history of advancing technology and science, primarily through atmospheric flight.
We've been in place since 1946, before NASA was NASA, under the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics in the first supersonic aircraft flight. The same spirit of adventure, the same spirit of actually taking products and trying them, putting together experiments in flight is still present there.
Pilots and scientists at Dryden who push the envelope of flight as part of their everyday duties have made essential contributions to the shuttle program and the Apollo moon landings.
We were able to take a jet engine and mimic and simulate lunar landing, both for research to understand how pilots would maneuver and fly without wings and without an atmosphere. And it actually ended up saving the Apollo program, because it gave the pilots confidence to actually land the vehicle when they got to the moon. Without that training, with just automated systems, we wouldn't have got beyond the first flight.
Without Dryden's efforts, Al Worden, who early in his career gave up plans of being a concert pianist to become a virtuoso Air Force pilot, might not have reached the heights of his career as an astronaut.
Flying was my life. I really knew I could really do that. It was almost intuitive to me to fly an airplane. And this instructor I had, who washed out everybody, told me the same thing. You're a natural. And I was a natural instrument pilot, and that's why I went in the Air Defense Command.
While his Apollo 15 crewmates walked on the moon, Worden was a true lone eagle as he flew the command module farther away from humans than anyone before. And later in the mission, he walked deeper in space than anyone else. But all of these adventures were done in the service of scientific study.
When we launched on Apollo 15, we launched with the philosophy that we were scientific explorers. We knew how to fly the machine. We'd had 3 years of training, flying all that, doing all that stuff. So the last year or year and a half of our training program, we concentrated on the science. So we were really way beyond just getting there and getting back. We really focused on the science in terms of the experiments compared to the flight plan and the time we were there and all that. We did a lot more than anybody, and good science too.
Including turning black hole theory into reality, thanks to his X-ray image of the Cygnus star system.
You know, I took the very first picture of a black hole on my flight. There was big arguments back and forth. Is there such a thing as a black hole? If there is a black hole, what does it mean? And I actually got an X-ray scan of a black hole on my flight. We did a lot of firsts.
In a flight that was planned down to the minutest detail, surprises were few, but life-changing.
We had spent days and weeks learning all the stars in the sky. We did our own navigation on board. We had a sextant just like the ancient mariners had. We had 37 stars, the brightest stars in the sky, that we used for our navigational guidance stars. And they're very easy to pick out from here because they're the brightest stars. What I found when I got around that segment of the orbit around the moon, where I was shadowed from both the Earth and the sun, is that I couldn't find those stars because there are so many other stars. The sky was absolutely a sheet of light. I actually had to let my computer find a star for me. I couldn't pick it out. So many stars. Made me think about a lot of things. A lot of things.
Including the probability of other planets with inhabitants existing somewhere in our vast universe.
They're out there.
But at the same time NASA is reaching outward, the agency is also dedicated to being good students and stewards of our own mothership, Earth.
But NASA has an important role too in science, in looking at the universe, but also looking at the home planet and looking at the health of the home planet. And what you're doing here at the preserves lends itself to that. Some of that is using technologies that are as old as straw bales that were used thousands of years ago, to filtering technologies that really literally come out of the NASA space program in how to process water for a space station. Is in this building on how you filter and make drinking water available and reusable here in the desert so we can enjoy life here on Earth.
Because it became even more precious once we left it, and the distances we traveled put it into a different perspective.
I absolutely enjoyed, no matter what I was doing, enjoyed getting to a window and seeing the Earth rise. It was just an unbelievable sight. Looking back at the Earth from out there and taking a picture of it from space is maybe the most important thing that came out of the Apollo program. Because I don't think anybody really understood what this planet we live on is all about until we got far enough away from it to look back and see it as a small object, not as something that's so huge that we can't even see over the horizon.
That is a message worth remembering from one of the few humans who approached the stars and discovered there all that is to be cherished here at home.